Hey everyone, my name is Twon Schroeder from Twon Schroeder Nutritional Therapy, and I'm here at Pogues Run Grocer on the Near East Side to talk to you about a healthy alternative to pre-made granola. So many of us have this kind of association in our mind of granola as being this sort of health food that's been developed over the years. Also, it's kind of associated with hippies and things like that. You know, you think of calling someone a granola, you tend to think of them being as like a health nut or something like that. Well, there's an interesting side to how grains should properly be prepared in order for them to be healthful. So with grains in particular, if you were to take granola, say you take oats and you flatten them, and then you heat them at a high temperature, and then you throw a bunch of sugar on them, all of a sudden it's more like candy in the sense that of its nutritional value. It's pretty much lost all of its goodness to it. And when you think about grains, especially when making something like granola, you have to think about it in the sense of what is a grain, or what is a nut, what is a seed? Basically, what is the purpose of a nut, seed, or grain, the part of the grain that we eat most of the time, is that it's there to produce life in the future. It's there to further the plant's existence in this world. So what it's going to do as a nut, like with an almond, you know, we have raw almonds right over here. The almond tree wants to perpetuate itself through this nut. So what it's going to do is it's going to lock up nutrients and minerals inside of that nut and have them lay dormant until the time where it's ready to grow. So if you think about the time that's ready to grow, if you think about the time when it's ready to grow, it requires water in order to come alive and release those nutrients. So they're all locked up tight. And there's actually something in nuts and seeds and grains called phytic acid, which is Phytic, phytic acid, and it is actually a mineral inhibitor. So when you eat foods that contain like nuts and seeds and grains that contain phytic acid, it's actually potentially pulling minerals out of your body. So in order to release those minerals inside of those nuts or seeds or grains, they need to be soaked or sprouted or fermented. And one of the easiest ways to do that is basically you want to trigger the process of that to think that it's going to produce life. You want it to germinate. So one of the ways you can do that is you can take, one of the easy recipes that I like to use is using buckwheat groats, which we have down here in bulk at Pogues Run, organic buckwheat groats. So I might take, you know, say like 1/3 of a cup of buckwheat groats, and that's not an exact measurement. And I might take, you know, another amount. It's not an exact science. It's however you want to like create a mix. But you can take some walnuts, you could take some almonds, dump a little bit of almonds in there. And I would say you want to put sunflower seeds in there too. So especially sunflower seeds, these sprout really easily. So you could take this mixture, I mean, you could put any amount of raw, you know, groats and seeds and nuts mixed together to whatever your liking is. And then you just pour some filtered water in here. You don't want water that has chlorine in it because chlorine will actually inhibit the ability for the nutrients to be released. So you pour the water in here and then you let it sit overnight at room temperature. And then the next day you can pour off the water and rinse it again. And you could let it go even further, but usually overnight it's already germinated enough that it's going to release more nutrients and be a healthful product and actually not potentially steal minerals from your body. And then if you could put that right into your bowl with some Trader's Point yogurt or, you know, coconut milk or whatever your potential other dairy alternative is if you don't do dairy. Or you could just make a mix and eat it raw. But what you can do is, then if you want to make it crunchy, if you're not going to put it right into a mix and you want it to be kind of crunchy, what you can do is you can take a crock pot and you could put you could take a paper bag or some wax paper and put that in there. Then you will put that on the low setting and let it sit with the lid off for maybe about 8 hours, and it'll actually dry out and make it crispy if you want kind of a crispy granola. And that will maintain the enzymes in there. You don't want it to get above about like 170 degrees because that will start to kill off all the enzymes in the food that's present in the raw foods. So one of the ways you can also do that is you can take paper and roll it out onto, say, like a paper bag, cut it open. Say you come here to Pogues, you buy your food, you forgot your bag, you get a paper bag. Bring it home and you're like, I feel bad, I forgot my bag. It happens all the time here. You can actually reuse that to help dry out these seeds and nuts. And you can cut open your bag, lay it out on a cookie sheet, put the seeds and nuts that you just soaked overnight on there, and then put it in the oven at a very low temperature. You can even turn it on just slightly for about 10 minutes or so and get it to just to heat up, and then turn it off, put the seeds in there, and let it dry out throughout the day. Or if you have a gas oven, your pilot light will probably do the trick. So you won't even have to do anything, you just put it right in there. If you have a dehydrator at home, that's even better. That's an even better way to do it. So you can get a nice crispy nut mix out of that, granola mix. You'll want to keep it in the fridge after you've soaked it or dried it out, because it can mold with time at room temperature if it's left out too long. So so basically if you were to buy like cereal in a box or granola in a box, it's, in my opinion, nutritionally, that's a waste of time, it's a waste of money. Usually there's about 30 cents worth of product in these boxes, and you're not even really getting the vitamins or nutrients from it. It's really just filler. You're just eating filler. There's actually a study that was done with, I think it was with Cheerios, where they had lab rats. They fed some the cereal and they fed some the cardboard box. The ones that ate the cardboard box actually did better. There was more nutrients in the cardboard box than there was in the actual cereal. And this all comes back to this idea of properly preparing our grains, our nuts and seeds in a way that actually unlocks the nutrients that are in there and makes them what we call bioavailable so that your body can use them. If you don't do that, then you're pretty much, it's almost worse than eating cardboard. So there's all sorts of different recipes you could do. You could find a way to add in, some dried fruit or some cinnamon, nutmeg, make your own mixes. Just like there's a variety of granolas out there, you could do the same thing. But you want to make sure that you soak and properly prepare your nuts or seeds. Another way you can also prepare your grains, say you're going to make oatmeal, you can take your steel cut oats and you can put them in your pan that you're going to cook them in. Pour your water in there and put a little bit of yogurt or kefir or apple cider vinegar, things like that. And as they have a little bit of culture, they'll actually help process that phytic acid as well. So if you're not going to soak it to make your raw granola in the morning, or you're going to cook it in the morning instead, that's another way you can do that. And that pretty much goes for all grains. You can add a little bit of culture to it and soak it overnight. And you want to soak it at room temperature, because if you don't soak it at room temperature, if you soak it in the fridge, it won't work the same. It won't be as effective. And if you let it sit overnight, stay on the stovetop. And then one of the amazing things with steel cut oats, if you let them sit overnight with the culture in there, with the water, and then you get up in the morning, you go to cook it, it'll actually cook more quickly than if you were to throw the oats in there with water and try cooking it in the morning. It usually takes about 20 plus minutes. It can actually take about 10 minutes in the morning when you do it that way. So that'll add a new perspective. It'll make your breakfast ready sooner in the morning, unless you're buying it out of box. And then it'll make it more nutrient dense for you, making a healthier you. And in the long run, it'll provide more minerals and nutrients for your body, which is what we all want, right? And here's another product that we do have ready-made. This product here is Go Raw Raisin Crunch. This is actually made from organic grains, and it's sprouted. See, it says sprouted granola there. This product is about the only thing on the shelf that's pre-packaged as far as like a cereal or grain product goes. I could say you could take this out of the package and eat it and you'd be fine. So if you were in a pinch and you didn't have time to do this yourself, I would say reach for this and let this be your granola breakfast snack, whatever you're going to use it as. The only side problem with this is that it's really expensive. This is about, I think we sell it about $12 a package. Now, if you consider that this buckwheat groats are $2.99 a pound. So you could put together your own mix for a lot cheaper if you just take the time and preparation. And really all it is just letting it sit there. If you just think ahead and you pour the water in, or if you culture it or ferment it or sprout it, it just takes time. It doesn't take a bunch of work all at once. It's just a little bit of work over a period of time. So I hope that's helpful to you. I hope that you have a new perspective on breakfast and granola and all these other things. Try it out yourself, see how it tastes, maybe tinker with it a little bit. But this will provide more nutrients for you and make a healthier you. And thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.